Hey everybody, welcome back to day 28 of my non-alcoholic beer and gin review series. For those of you who might just be joining us, this was my New Year's resolution not to drink anything for the month of January, and to make it kind of fun, I decided to review a new non-alcoholic beer or gin each day. So today's day 28. We've been at this for 4 weeks. We don't have much longer to go in the month. I had a ton of gins to get through. So this is part 2 of our gin shootout, or Showdown, whatever you want to call it. We did 5 yesterday. We're doing another 5 today. We'll probably have to carry this on past the end of January because I still have quite a few beers to go through. But today is all about the gins. We won't get much into the reason you might choose to go non-alcoholic. I've talked about that lots in these videos, but I will talk a little bit about the explosion of non-alcoholic products. So there's been a ton of beers, but they've been around for a long time. What's new on the market is non-alcoholic products that replace a hard alcohol. So gins, rums, whiskeys, tequilas. I even saw a non-alcoholic vodka. I'm not sure what that tastes like, maybe water. So some of them don't make sense to me. Like the rum, there's not a ton of flavors in rum. I'm sure rum connoisseurs would be upset with me for saying that, but I think a lot of the experience there comes from the warmth in the alcohol. Same with Scotch, probably, I could see maybe a smoky peaty Islay malt you might be able to do non-alcoholic. But gins, on the other hand, have so much rich botanical flavors and smells that I think you can get away without the alcohol. These are still really pleasant. When mixed with tonic, you get lots of great flavors. So the way that we do this, I've put just over an ounce of product in each glass. And it's just over an ounce because I want to be able to taste a little bit before I put the mix in it. Now, these aren't meant to be drank neat or on the rocks or anything like that. They're really meant to be enjoyed with a mix or in a cocktail or something like that. But I think we'll get a better idea of the flavors and the nose that's available if we try them neat as well. Okay, so our first up today is the Hickson Gin. Really cool looking bottle. This is also the first one in our tasting that seems to have a very distinctive color to it. Most of them had been either clear or maybe just a slight bit of milkiness to them, like a slight cloudiness. This has a very distinctive sort of almost greeny, coppery sort of tinge to it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, which is kind of different. These guys are based out of Terrebonne, Quebec. It's Les Two Frères Brewing Company that does it, which I found interesting that a brewing company is making a gin, but hey, why not? So other things that this company offers, they offer a variety of mixed drinks. They have quite a few non-alcoholic beers. They have another gin under a different brand name called Oshlag Hibiscus Gin, and they have a few wines under a label called JP Chenet. So interesting that they do so much stuff. This was $29.95 on Upside Drinks. Ingredients list, we have water, natural botanical distillates, natural flavors, citric acid, potassium sorbate, and sodium benzoate. You'll see that a lot in these. Potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, those are preservatives. When you don't have the alcohol doing the preserving for you, you need to add something to keep them going off. Quite a few of our gins have mentioned on them that you don't need to refrigerate them. It just says store in a cool, dark place, and it says consume within 3 months of opening. That's good to know. Okay, so let's get right into this one. So nosing it neat. That is a different nose than anything we've had so far. I would say there's something, it's lavender actually is what I would say. Yeah, lavender. That's quite interesting. Lavender, a tiny bit of juniper, cedar, that sort of thing going on there. The lime zest I can smell. And a little bit pine. So juniper often kind of presents as cedar, pine, those sorts of notes. And there's some sort of spice in there as well. Something, almost, yeah, like nutmeg. This is it's a very different nose than any of them we've had so far. So we'll give that a little taste. Very thin mouthfeel. It has that same sort of kick that some of them had in our last test. A little bit of pepper, a warm feeling on the finish. It doesn't have much of a mouthfeel to it, though. I mean, that doesn't really matter, I guess. Yeah, again, lavender, angelica. That is probably what the pepper, like that angelica sort of bite. A little bit of cucumber, the juniper. Yeah, quite nice. Very unique, different than most of the ones we've tried so far. I'm gonna have a little bit of cracker because that's got quite a bit of tingly bit on my tongue, and then we'll come back and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one up after that is the Ceders Classic. All right, these guys are out of Cheswick Park, London. So this is our first big time international one, I guess. We had one from the States, but so far they've been mostly from Quebec. One from Ontario, I think, but this is the first one that's from Europe. So that's kind of cool to see. Other ones these guys do, they do a couple other gins actually. So they have a crisp gin, wild gin, and a rose gin. And I didn't see anything else that they did. This one they describe as rare and exotic botanicals, fresh and floral. Ingredients list: water, natural extracts and flavors, botanical distillates, citric acid, tartaric acid, and potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. Really nice looking bottle. And you'll notice quite a few of these have kind of gone out of their way to make a nice presentation with the bottle, wood top, corks, that sort of thing. This one was $23.95 on Upside Drinks. Okay, let's check the nose on that one. Ooh. Cucumber, lemon, cedar, and juniper. Again, very different than a lot of them we've had. A little bit of lemon. And just a hint of rosemary. Very, very complex, very nice. Flavor-wise, a big hit of citric, like lemony, little bit of rosemary, quite a cucumber water taste to it. Yeah, and I get that rosemary on the finish just as I bring in some air with it. Nice. It'll be interesting to see how that comes out in with mix. Okay, after that we've got the Monsieur Cocktail gin. So I looked these guys up online, and it looks like they've changed the name of their line of non-alcoholic stuff from Monsieur Cocktail, which they still sort of have on their website, but it seems like maybe it's mixes or something, I'm not sure. It's all in French. But their non-alcoholic line seems to be called NOA now. And under their NOA line, they have quite a few different things. They have a garden gin, an aperitivo, an amaretto, an Italian bitter, spiced rum, sweet vermouth, Italian amaro. Yeah, so hard to know what's going on with that company. Monsieur Cocktail is an absolutely absurd name for a non-alcoholic gin if you want anybody to take you seriously, so maybe they decided that was a bad idea and they were going to change names. So they're based out of Saint-Sacrement, Quebec, and this was $23.95 when I bought it off Upside Drinks. It's no longer listed on their website. The NOA Garden Gin that's on there is now $29.95. Ingredients: demineralized water, glycerin, citric acid, extracts and natural flavors, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, and dimethyl carbonate. I don't know what dimethyl carbonate is. Sorry, I should have looked it up ahead of time. Assuming it's some sort of preservative. So yeah, let's give that one a try on the nose. A little bit of cucumber, a little bit of something minty or peppery. It's a pretty subtle nose. Very clear liquid. Yeah, just getting kind of a cucumber, little hits of mint. And not really much of anything else. Let's go in for the flavor here, the taste. A little better mouthfeel. That's probably that glycerin. We had a couple others that had glycerin in them yesterday. Sweet tasting though. A little bit of citrus up front. A little bit of rosemary. Yeah, not much else there. Something a little bit chemically. Not so sure about that one. We'll see what happens when we put it in with some mix. Okay, the next one we have up, number 4, is the Lumette London Dry. These guys are out of Souk, BC, which is kind of cool. I know a few people in Souk. $17.95 in Safeway of all places. The Lumettes frequently go on sale in Safeway for a couple bucks off. This was actually a couple bucks off when I bought it. So they make this London Dry, they make a light and bright, and then they also make a, I think they call it Lum Rum, but it's basically supposed to be a rum. And those are the 3 offerings they have. Out of the bunch that we've had so far, these guys have the worst packaging. This is an absolutely ugly label with a twist, like a metal twist top that, well, it kind of reminds me of Absolute Vodka, the twist top or some sort of medicine thing. So if the company's listening, step up your game on the packaging. So $17.95, but it is a half-size bottle. So that would put it at $36 for a full 750 ml bottle. Ingredients wise, what do we have? We have water, natural botanical distillates, extracts, citric acid, and potassium sorbate. Let's check out the nose on that one. A little bit of cedar, that juniper sort of cedar smell. Citrus. Tiny bit of cucumber. And there's some sort of other florally kind of smell in there. Can't put my nose on it. Now, we did review these guys earlier when we were doing gins. It was the last tiny bit I had in the bottle. But I wanted to do it in our lineup and compare it head to head with the others because it was hard to give it a score when you're not comparing it to anything. Yeah, fairly subtle nose though. I seem to recall in the past it having more of a cedar juniper sort of nose. There is a little bit of something peppery, coriander. Yeah, there's some coriander there. Yeah, definitely coriander on the flavor notes. Juniper, citrus. And that cucumber sort of flavor as well. Nice though, quite pleasant. Okay, and our last one for the neat nosing and tasting is the Lumette Bright and Light. Again, terrible packaging. So we already said the other things they do. They're out of Souk, BC. Ingredients on this are water, natural botanical distillates, extracts, citric acid, potassium sorbate. So same, but obviously they're using different things, and they're highlighting different things. This because so many of these I have to order online. I'm a little hesitant to order them online in the winter, so I've ordered, kind of order them. These ones I ordered in the fall, coming up to winter, so I'd have them for this tasting. But this one tends to be my go-to because I can get it in Safeway, which is a brilliant thing. I really think a bunch of these guys should try harder to get themselves on the shelves in grocery stores, although I have heard that a number of private liquor stores in BC are also selling non-alcoholic products now. So I'm going to check that out one of these days. Anyways, the Bright and Light has just a slightly cloudiness to it. Oh, that is nice though. So it's got that real strong juniper, cedar, little tiny hits of cucumber, rose. Yeah, that's the floral, is the rose, I think. And there is something kind of a little peppery. A bit of citrus, maybe, like I'd call it lime. Really pleasant nose. One of the better ones out of the bunch so far in this batch. Slightly warm feeling on the finish. Cucumber flavor. Little bits of the juniper, cedar, not nearly as strong as the smell. Yeah, that rose and a bit of rosemary. The flavor doesn't line up as well with the notes. Okay, so the next step is we're going to add some mix to these drinks. We've got about an ounce of product, pretty close to, in each of the glasses. We're going to add 2 ounces of mix. We're just using good old Canada Dry tonic water. You can go ahead and use Fever Tree or something fancy if you want. This is what I would normally drink them with in the summer, having a gin and tonic. This is probably a little stronger ratio than I would drink them with normally, but it's a better try to really get the flavors out. So we're going to do them one at a time so that we can get kind of that, see what the smells are when it kind of effervesces out. We'll probably edit out all the pouring though. Okay, so we've got the Hickson gin with some tonic in it. Nose has changed a little bit. Still some spice, pepper, almost, well, it's that lavender for sure. It's one of the only ones I've really smelled a lavender in. Not much in the way of juniper, and a little bit of that lime zest. Okay, let's give it a shot. Wow. Quite a bit of lavender up front. A little hit of sort of a peppery, I think it's Angelica. A little warm on the finish. Coriander. There's still that nutmeg that I was noticing in the nose earlier. Yeah, it's still in the nose there too now but I definitely taste a nutmeg flavor, which is different in a gin for sure. There's some citrus, that lime zest, a little bitter. Yeah, really nice, quite pleasant, very different than any of the other gins with that predominant lavender note. Usually I expect more of a gin, or sorry, a juniper note, like a cedar shavings, pine, that sort of notes from the juniper. So the other thing we do now is we add a little bit of ice, so it more closely simulates how I would drink it in the summer. Yesterday when we were doing these, I found with quite a few of them, adding the ice changed the flavor profile. The citrus tended to come out more, and we lost them, so maybe some of the more delicate flavors. On some of them, it enhanced the flavors. Okay, so we're just going to chill that down a little bit. Yeah, still got that nutmeg and lavender. That is so good. That's really nice. Lavender, there's that pepper on the finish. The nutmeg adds a really interesting component to it. There is a little bit of juniper now, like in the form of sort of a cedary kind of flavor and smell. Still definitely getting that citrus lime zest. Quite complex compared to a number of ones that we've tried too. Yeah, really nice. There is this a little bit of the lavender kind of gives a strange sort of, sometimes I find lavender is a little on the soapy side. But yeah, really like that. Okay, now we'll try the Cedars Classic with some tonic. Very subtle nose, a little bit of cucumber. A little bit of juniper. Rosemary. Yeah, it's definitely more subtle. Quite a bit of that cucumber water flavor, rosemary, lemon. Wouldn't say there's a ton of juniper there, but there is a tiny bit. And a little bit of pepper on the finish. Nice, not nearly as complex as the Hickson, and predominantly that cucumber sort of flavor. Depending how it presents itself, it's not always my most favorite flavor in a gin. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of ice. And of course, normally I wouldn't drink gin out of wine glasses, but just trying to help with sort of bringing out that, help concentrating the smells. Okay, so we'll just chill that down a little bit. Still predominantly that cucumber. Yeah, with the ice, it's even more subtle. The lemon comes out stronger, the citrus. Still that little bit of warmth on the finish. Not bad. Not nearly as complex or bold as some of the others. Okay, the Monsieur Cocktail. Yeah, not getting a lot on the nose on that one. A little bit of cucumber, a little bit of lime. Maybe a touch of rosemary. Yeah, very subtle nose. I'm not picking up much out of that. A little bit of a kind of a, not pine, maybe spruce kind of. There's a evergreen tree sort of smell. A little bit of spice on the palate. But generally speaking, I'm mostly tasting the tonic. It's pretty flat. Let's see if ice does anything for it. Hasn't added much to the nose. Yeah, not a lot for the palate either. A little bit of cucumber, a little bit of lime, a little bit of spice, but pretty understated. A little bit on the sweet side. There's nothing flawed or wrong with it. It just doesn't really add a whole lot to the mix. Okay, we'll try the Lumette with the tonic. Still quite a bit of cucumber on the nose, lemon. Yeah, subtle hints of cedar. Ooh, wow. Quite a big hit of cedar, rosemary. There's little spice notes in there. That's definitely kind of woken up with the mix. Oh, and just there, just on the finish, a little hint of anise or licorice. Yeah, again, bring in some air, get a little bit of licorice flavor on it. Pepper. I don't know if I've said it, the cedar, the juniper. Yeah, really nice. Quite impressed with that. Made a big difference with the mix. So some ice, a little bit of ice in there. Okay, so chilled down a little. Doesn't do anything for the nose, that's for sure. Brought out a lot more of the citrus, chilling it down, and that's been a common theme throughout all 10 of the different ones we've had. Those that cedar, juniper, rosemary is still all there, but chilled down, it's a little more subtle. I wonder if the citrus becomes more predominant because the other ones just kind of drop down a little bit. Did bring out a little bit more of the cucumber. Don't get as much of that heat or sort of peppery bit on the finish. Yep, still has that little bit of anise, a little licorice flavor. Really nice, quite pleasant. Okay, now the Lumette with some tonic in it. Or the Lumette Light and Bright. The one we just did, I called it Lumette, it was the London Dry. More of a cucumber on this one, on the nose on this one. Same as the London Dry, though the nose is much more subdued in the with the mix. A little bit of something peppery. Yeah, so that cucumber, still catching just a hint of rose. Maybe a touch of mint. I know that was there before, but yeah, I know it's still there. A little coriander. Flavor-wise, rose, cucumber, citrus. Rosemary, that juniper pine as well. Kind of a very pine sort of version of that. I think it's probably coming from juniper. It's a pretty predominant botanical normally in gins, but has a very pine sort of quality to it. Yeah, and a little hit of that cedar. Again, very nice. We'll add some ice. Yeah, ice doesn't do a lot for the nose on that one, very subtle. Both of these have had fairly subtle noses. The chilling it though brings out more of the juniper, pine, cedar notes than it did. The rose that I was picking up earlier is much more subtle now. It's still there though, along with the rosemary, and a little bit of cucumber too. Also very nice. Okay. So on to the ratings. I'm gonna try these little couple more sips here and there, make some notes, compare, and then we'll come back to you with some ratings. Okay, so ratings. So the Hickson, definitely the most complex and unique out of this panel. Most unique overall in the tasting that we've had, but it wasn't quite as complex or didn't hit quite as many of those classic notes that I expect in a gin. So just slightly less than our number one, which was the Noir from yesterday. So I'm giving the Hickson a 9.0. Really impressive for a non-alcoholic gin. Would highly recommend that one. The Cedars Classic, I found it was a little strong for me in the cucumber flavor. I know that's a classic gin flavor. This is supposed to be a classic gin, so maybe it hits that. I would like to see a little more juniper in it, it's still very pleasant, very drinkable. I give it an 8.5, which is right in there with a lot of our other ratings. The Monsieur Cocktail, nothing wrong with it. Like we had one the other day that was just terrible. There's nothing wrong with this one in that sense. It's just boring though. Like it doesn't add anything to the mix. The nose is very subtle. Like it didn't do a lot for me. Like it's very expensive to be putting into your mix if it's not going to add a lot to it. So I gave that a 7.2. Nothing wrong with it, but doesn't add a lot to anything. The Lumette London Dry, I give that an 8.6, which is kind of right in with the number of our other ones. And it just got edged out slightly. The Lumette Light and Bright, I gave it an 8.7. Both excellent. This one just had a little more of the flavors that I really like. This one I found a little bit heavy on the citrus side of things, but both excellent. I would enjoy either one of them. Nice that they're out of, I live in BC, so it's nice that they're from Souk, and it's nice that I can find them in the Safeway. So they probably drink the most of these out of any of them simply because of availability. I wish I had some more Noir, which was our number one from yesterday, to be able to taste side by side with the Hickson. But I poured my last ounce of it yesterday to do the tasting. So anyways, that is part 2 of our gin showdown. We've tried 10 different gins over the course of the 2 days, and I am going to put up, at the end of this video, I'll put up a whole comparison list of the ratings as well. I'll put it in the description on the YouTube. Anyways, so that is day 28 of our non-alcoholic gin and beer review series. Love it if you subscribe to our channel and maybe go back, check out some of the other ones we've done. If you're going to try out Dry February is coming up for a lot of folks. If you want to get some suggestions on what to buy and maybe what to avoid, have a spin through our channel. We've tried out a whole bunch, and we're probably going to keep this going for a little bit into February, just because we've got so much more product to get through. Anyways, that's it. Thanks very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.